Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Freedom to Speak Easy podcast, where there is no prohibition on the First Amendment. And boy, do we have a show today. And with me always is Mark Rizzoli. Mark, how are you?
Great to be here, man. We had a great show this evening. A very
Big show.
informative show for parents.
We do. This is going to be a jaw dropping show. So Anthony Dameron here, and Mark, why don't you lead us into this first? How do we
Yeah,
get here today?
tonight's show, listen, it's going to be all about the fact that Montgomery School District, and you got Rutgers, and you have this South African Democrat Teachers Union involved with trying to implement communism in the Montgomery School District. Staff being sent to South Africa for a so-called convention that really wasn't a convention. So,
So the
there's a
taxpayer,
lot of
yeah.
things.
So the taxpayers are basically
Oh, exactly.
funding teachers and administrative staff to go to South Africa
Yep.
for what? That's what we're going to find out today. So,
Yeah, we got one of our patriots on the line who's out there sticking up for children and protecting the taxpayers of Montgomery Township. Hey, John, how you doing?
Very good, guys. Thanks for having me.
no problem.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
just tell her, for our listeners out there, tell everybody about Montgomery. I mean, what type of town it is. Has there been racial issues there where you need to have all this CRT and now communism and all the sex curriculum and whatnot? Just get into a little background about the town.
Right. Yeah, it's an interesting story. Montgomery's always been a quiet town, not really controversial. There have been, not to my knowledge, really any real racial challenges whatsoever. Kind of your typical New Jersey suburban environment. A big reason why folks move to Montgomery is tied to the school system.
Mm.
Aside from just being a nice area to raise a family, the reputation of the schools was always strong, and we'd like to keep it that way.
Right.
To be direct, and some of the things we learned about over the past couple of months have really shaken us.
Well, the question
Yeah.
now is like, how did this all start? How did a suburban school district like Montgomery develop a relationship with the South African Democrat Teachers Union with ties, which clearly has ties to communism?
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think parents overall are concerned because it raises these issues of transparency and overall engagement of the parents. And this is all coming on the heels of contentious meetings about, first during COVID and the masking sagas and all of those debates. And then we zipped right into the discussion of the state mandated sex ed curriculum. And all that did was draw more and more parents into the fold who started to pay a little bit more attention to what was going on in the district. And, that led in December to a parent discovering or noticing, I should say, a travel expenditure request on the package for the December Board of Ed meeting.
Right.
And it described a request for travel funding to South Africa to go what was listed as a convention.
And that raises red flags. I'm assuming that's just red flags right there, right? I mean, it would for me. It would definitely for me.
100%. During the day that the board package came out, someone noticed it. Apparently, and they did their research. Then they got up at the podium during the Board of Ed public comments session and raised some questions. And the result was a back and forth during a meeting. I guess the board and the superintendent were not expecting to address it. They actually enlisted the help of the head of the teachers union to come up to try to add some light on. And the discussion revealed a relationship that had been ongoing that parents I've spoken with were just simply not aware of. And that was with a school at Rutgers, the School of Management and Labor Relations, who was including Montgomery in this program that they call LMCI, Labor Management Collaboration Initiative. And we started to learn about that. And it was that relationship with Rutgers that led to the intro to the South African Democrat Teachers Union.
Well, what's
yeah.
John? What's the link with Rutgers into the Montgomery School District? Like, who's the link with that?
Right. So there's a resident who is a faculty member at this school at Rutgers, and it appears he was the linkage. And his unit at Rutgers is also involved with board training. So there's an active relationship. And after the questions were asked, it became apparent that this has been going on for the relationship that has been going on for a good 10 years. And, yet this is really the first time that this group of parents heard about it. There was virtually nothing shared, proactively by the district about it. Again, it was all just kind of like following through these different rabbit holes after the question was
Right.
raised of why are we spending to send people to an international trip when we're also in the midst of discussions about budgets and spending, that are surrounded by what led to a tax increase. Montgomery has the highest budget for schools in Somerset County, and saw even more revenue show up due to an increase in taxes that were voted in, and also an increase in state aid from prior period. Yet, somehow we still have teachers who have websites going up asking for donations to cover some basic classroom needs, and that just struck again the parents as very unusual, and raised even more interest.
Well, it just goes to show, Anthony, that if it wasn't for any parents' involvement where they were reviewing the Board of Ed's agenda, they would have never found out about this.
I was just going to say that.
Total.
So you have a parent here, and we don't know. We're gonna, for their protection, obviously not we're gonna conceal their identity. But you have a parent showing up, just happened to be going through the board minutes, and looking at and basically highlighted something. Oh, what is this? This is interesting. And they go up there, they question it. At that point, I mean, so I'm sure the board wasn't. Was the board transparent? Were they immediately?
Yeah.
Oh, we're looking. Were they? What was the reaction? Were they shocked that it got caught? Like, because if I'm a parent, and I'm a taxpayer, forget about it, taxpayer parent. It's like, why? First of all, if it was a class trip to South Africa, it would be like I would question that. You know what I mean? So let alone for administrators to go to South Africa, to another country. I'm thinking, it's got it. Now you start asking yourself questions. You start doing a little digging, and here you are, and you're starting to link pieces together. You become like your own investigator, if you would. As a parent, though, you send you work for a living. People work for a living. You send your kids to school. It only makes you question. And tell me if you agree or disagree. What do you start thinking? What would be the purpose? What's the purpose of all this? I mean, you want to? Is it about STEM? Is it about learning how to read, write, and arithmetic, the basics of education, or is it something much more sinister than that? And that's and I'm I want to know your feelings on that as a parent, and whether or not you want that in your kid's classroom, where this is headed.
Yeah, well, it was very striking to hear about this topic emerge just again on the heels of a simple funding request. I mean,
Right.
if this is a program we're proud of and an engagement with a local university, why didn't we hear about it?
Right. Why do they hide it? Yes.
More, why was it not bragged about? And yet,
Right.
then, in response to the concerns, the board invited a speaker from the Rutgers program into the subsequent meeting in January, who then did a presentation about their overall initiative and presented listed some impressive academic credentials, shared some papers from a number of years back for a theoretical basis, but they stated a number of benefits that we would expect from not just the program but also the travel to South Africa. And I think first the mood was set of surprise, that this was happening, that this was such a major initiative that again virtually nobody was aware of.
What they say, and benefits? They say benefits. Who is it going to benefit though? What is like? Do we see what does it look like? Tell us what the future is going to look like. Then they didn't. Nobody outlined that for you guys, right?
They didn't outline it again in that first meeting, but in the second meeting, the presenter claimed that there were some broad benefits for compliance with the Amistad bill, which is to infuse African American history with the curriculum, and some other, broad diversity, equity, and inclusion activities. And, the parents were just left scratching their heads saying there's got to be better ways to do this than sending a group of teachers and administrators to South Africa to meet with this union who, you just go out and you click on their website, and on the front page of their website, you see they are in fact connected to the South African Communist Party. There's a close relationship. You look through their documents, both on the union and the Communist Party website, and there's mutual reference to each group. So this is not a casual relationship. These are groups that are working together. And, so what that means in terms of coming back to the curriculum at Montgomery, we don't know. But what I will say is parents are concerned. It has raised, tremendous flags that we're going into this environment, which, not for nothing, South Africa has had its challenges and still does. They're right now going through troubles related to infrastructure and power that have many feeling that it's an unsafe environment. In fact, during the presentation and the discovery of this in December, not the presentation, excuse me, but the discovery of the expending item in December, one of the residents asked a question saying, "Is it safe to send people there?"
Right.
And it was really dismissed. It was kind of laughed off. But then after some investigation, the district realized they didn't have sufficient insurance for these travelers.
Right.
And so they had to go out and buy an insurance policy just on the, to support this. So the costs went even higher on the heels of this. So, I think it's a study of, how a situation that may seem simple or even, dare I say, beneficial at first can be painted in a very bad light because it was just kind of sprung on us. There was no engagement with the residents and the taxpayers to look at
Well,
this.
I just want to share some information with you guys on this one. So, according to the Chinese loans to Africa database, China has financiers has signed over 1,100 loan commitments worth $160 billion with the African government and their state, and it's between 2000 2020, predominantly involving transportation, power generation, mining, and telecommunications. And I know you had just mentioned about the power issues there and everything. So
Yeah.
I mean, so once again, the usual players. You have Phil Murphy, who's
Right.
his undying loyalty to Joe Biden and the whole Chinese operation. And now we're sending our faculty over to a communist country and to be attending a so-called convention that no one seems to be able to produce any
Right.
data that confirms it was a convention.
And shipping them off in the middle of the night,
Yeah.
and
And then
these
trying to
events-
sneak it through on an agenda.
absolutely. And was the
pay
governor at your school? If I'm not mistaken, was he at your school district recently?
He was just recently in the past few weeks.
For-
And,
Is that?
talking
I mean, that's. Mark. I would think that's not by coincidence. I mean, you can't
No,
tell me for a
no.
second that he ends up in the same school district when this is all going on.
And was there anyone from Rutgers there? Do you know?
No, I don't recall that. Not
Okay.
to my knowledge, but there were other politicians from Murphy's circle that were in the room, and you could see that on the pictures that were posted. But interestingly, also on the topic of the event itself, as I mentioned, it was listed on the funding request as a convention, which kind of evokes these visions of something comparable to the New Jersey Teachers Convention, where there's workshops and learning, and they're going to be sharing, they'll be gaining knowledge, and it's a training exercise, etc. And the district has not shared, to my knowledge, any details about the event itself. However, the hosting entity, which is not the teachers union, we learned, it's called the Education Labor Relations Council, which is a broad group of South African trade unions, were the ones that hosted this thing. And they called it the South African National Workshop on Labor Management Partnership, which is, pretty much what the school at Rutgers is teaching. And it's their theoretical model that it seems was being introduced to South Africa. So again, why people from our district and other districts, by the way, were in attendance for this is just, it's not clear. And so residents have asked the board and district for some more data, for an explanation and a readout. And in the meantime, we're doing our best to try to figure out what's happening. And again, just to comment on the fact that other districts are involved, if you go out to the Rutgers webpage that describes this school, they list Montgomery and some other school districts being included in what they call a pilot program for their initiative. And it's to me very astounding that there's this statewide activity that's coming out of the state university, and aside from these web pages and little glimpses we get out of board meeting minutes, there's really no public sharing.
John, I want to ask you. Sorry to cut you off, but throughout everything you've mentioned here, through all your attending meetings and all the research you've been doing, there hasn't been one thing mentioned about how we're going to get these children caught up after keeping them out of school for 2 years. Have you seen anything mentioned about that? What's their strategic plan?
Right. What's their plan
to help these children who
absolutely.
are behind?
Who socially and in the social aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah, this idea of so-called COVID learning loss is real. It's recognized nationally. It has been brought up as a bullet item on some agendas, but I have not seen anything shared in the meetings that is a concrete example of or an initiative on how to deal with
but
this.
the priority is let's dispatch our operatives into board meetings now so we could try to put a spin on what's been uncovered with sending staff to deal with communism.
Well, it tells you where's their sense of where are their priorities here, your school district.
That's
First,
right.
so I have a question for you. Who's your superintendent there?
Superintendent in Montgomery is Mayor McLaughlin.
The mayor is.
Mary McLaughlin.
Okay. Got you. And has the superintendent? What's been the reaction from the superintendent?
Right. So I have not had any direct contact with the superintendent on this topic. If you look at the videos of the board meetings, you see that it's typically run by the president of the Board of Education, and the superintendent will weigh in periodically. So there could be activities occurring that have not been publicly shared. That is a possibility.
Well, she should have answered your questions
Right.
about this trip to South Africa.
Well,
I mean, she is the superintendent. The buck stops with her. I'm sure she's making over $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
But she can't answer a simple question: who authorized this trip? And who's paying for it? Obviously, the taxpayers are paying for it. She had to authorize the trip in conjunction with the NJEA, Phil Murphy's office, Rutgers. All these different groups are now involved. I believe the NAEA. I mean, we go on and on.
And I'll say this. I'll go a step further. If the superintendent is not giving you answers, then maybe open request. I want email document. Look at their emails.
Right.
Go back as far as you could. Pick time dates. Ask for emails. Any emails that were written on the
communications between the South African Democratic
absolutely
Teachers Union and back and forth,
utilizing district emails. Request those emails. Find out what the superintendent knew and when they knew it. And the fact is, I don't know. Each district is different, but the superintendent sits there and makes big time money. Okay, they have to. They have to answer for this. They have to answer for it. And honestly, I know that the superintendent usually is at the behest of the board president, but it's too damn bad. Okay, we're paying for it all. You guys are paying for it all. I'd be out. This is outrageous. This is simply outrageous.
The fact that there's no explanation.
There's not a single explanation why they're
tells you all you need to know.
Right, and I'll tell you, unless and they're going to South Africa, to do anything except, it's not to, they're going there not to make your child better in any of the STEM programs, anything like that. This is all social issues. They're trying to create, it sounds to me that your community is a tolerant community, a good community to live in, a community that, hey, come, if you want a nice community to raise your family, go to Montgomery, and basically,
well, you went from
you sounds like the town's on fire.
Well, we have the quintessential suburban New Jersey town, which has now become the most woke school district in the nation.
Absolutely.
I mean, let's face it now. You don't hear anything about, like you said, Anthony, STEM. All they're concerned about now is this radical sex curriculum, the DEI, CRT, and the communism, and anything else they can think up.
Right.
You can start confusing these children.
Right.
It's
sick.
It's just really.
It's sick. It's
well, listen. Anybody who's talking children's evil.
Right.
And we established Phil Murphy is one evil individual.
He is.
And clearly, your superintendent, like many of them throughout New Jersey, including where I live, need to be fired.
Right.
And people, people actually hired who actually are going to stand up for the children instead of bowing down to the NJEA and all these other radical lunatics who basically want to corrupt children's minds. Listen, we've had this conversation on past shows, Anthony.
Yes, we have.
It's not about education; it's about indoctrination.
It is. And then you have the county superintendent. I don't know if you're aware, John Doe. There's county superintendents that are appointed. They're appointed positions that a lot of these counties, like ours, has no education background, zero. And they're making big time dollars, over $100,000 a year. For what?
It's all about who is going to advance their political ideology. That's what it's all about.
It's amazing.
Now. Schools have become just. It's unfortunate. It's almost like a sick. Test. They're going. Let's pick a couple of districts out, like our caller said. Implement. I believe Metuchen's one of them.
Right.
Metuchen's on the
Metuchen's
list.
on it.
Okay. So let's pick a few districts. Let's see how far we can get with this.
Exactly.
And we'll advance it throughout the state.
You guys are being targeted there because of your size of your district, and
and their political representation.
Right.
You have three radicals. I mean, you have the AOC of New Jersey that your Assemblywoman Jaffer. I mean, she's literally the AOC of New Jersey.
Whoa.
She's the AOC. She's as radical as it comes. I'm sure they were there.
This is
Zwicker and her.
And you have elected officials here, and John Doe, we're going to let you continue here for a second, but you have elected officials, and the way our system works is you go to the board, you ask them questions, and the problem is too many times in these whether it's a council meeting, they stay mum. They don't say nothing. The attorney talks. We didn't elect the attorneys. We elected these board members. They're big boys and girls. Answer for this crap. All right, answer for it, and the superintendent needs to answer for it. And honestly, let's continue here.
Well, I have a question for you. Since you and your other concerned group of parents,
Right.
have been asking a lot. Has the NJEA been dispatching anyone to monitor your questioning or the meetings? To your knowledge?
Yeah, not to my knowledge. I have not heard that, but there are union representatives in the room for the local union.
Right.
And so, I'm sure they're gathering the data. And the biggest issue I think that's resonating with parents is just that the fact that this is such a glaring example that the parents aren't being engaged adequately.
Well,
And,
yeah.
You have these board meetings, which, let's be honest, they're if you watch how these public board meetings are scripted, there's very, very little time for parental involvement. They have a public questioning period with a 3-minute limit
Wow.
upon which they hit a buzzer and you have to walk away.
Do you get a rebuttal? Do you get a rebuttal on that or no?
No.
Wow.
They're not bound to answer at the meeting.
How do they film your meetings there? Are they live streamed by any chance?
They are.
Oh, okay.
There's a YouTube channel for those, and that's great. And that is a great.
But it's not enough. I would actually go to these meetings. I used to do this here in Edison. I used to go to the meetings and Facebook Live while at my seat the whole meetings. And finally incorporated the district did it themselves. But that's what I would do. I would be showing up to these meetings, having more eyes on this stuff because most people don't have time to go to these. They work all day. They got to go home. They got family obligations. Who's got time to go to board?
Well, and also the NJE has done everything they could to try to intimidate parents. With putting out videos calling concerned parents extremists. I mean, we've had an elected official in my town accuse parents of being filled with so much hate, a past board member, because they were questioning the sex curriculum.
God forbid if you.
I have another question for you. Has the local union president, has he or she engaged your group?
Good question.
At all?
Not directly. He did make comments during the session where the expenditure request was uncovered, and he was really the source of most of the description we were given about this work with the Rutgers organization and their initial goals for why they were going to South Africa. Since that initial time where he was pulled in unscheduled, they actually during the meeting made a request for him to step up to the podium. But since then, to my knowledge, he has not publicly commented.
Well, has he been in full cover-up mode when he speaks about? Was he trying to basically direct attention away from it?
Well, I think he totally in his comments subsequent, he has not directly addressed this matter whatsoever.
What a shock.
He was in attendance. He was one of the people who traveled to South Africa.
Well, this is why I believe there was 2 teachers on the trip to South Africa, correct?
Well, so the union president who went,
they had to go. They had to ask some. They had to bring it up to like, hey, who wants to go? Right?
The union president should be, since he attended the trip, he should be able to answer the parents'
Absolutely.
questions.
So that's where we're going with this. Is that that clearly there has to be some type of trail here of who? How do they choose these teachers? Do they pick the two biggest kooks that they have in the district? And you brought up a good point, John Doe, before. You said, hey, a lot of educators, and Mark and I know a ton of educators. We do, very good ones. They too many of them do, especially in the start of a school year, they have to spend money out of their own pocket, and this is the truth, to basically put supplies in their classroom because they're limited on supplies. And you think to yourself, like here in Edison, there's over $300 million budget, and that is unacceptable if it happens in a district like this or any district. There's a lot of money, and you say, where's all the money? Why do educators have to do this? And it's them though. They shame on any of the educators who are not speaking up and saying, why do I have to why do we have to put out of our own money? There's a lot of money in these budgets, and not on top of that, if you disagree with this type of stuff, going to South Africa to basically radicalize yourself, and they're part of the same union, you got to go to these meetings, these union meetings, and speak up. You got to call them out.
Listen, they're spending money on things that aren't relevant to education.
No, it has nothing to do with education. Zero.
Sex curriculum, the drag queen story time with children. I mean, these things have
school choice, baby.
I mean, nothing for there's no educational value to it at all. But they're wasting money on all this stuff instead of funding the teachers properly so they can get supplies. They don't have to ask parents to donate. Constantly. I mean, right now New Jersey's backwards. It really is. I mean, we have a lot of problems. The governor's a bad person. And listen, $1 billion a year taxpayer money to Rutgers, and look what they're engaged in here.
It's amazing.
That's why their color red fits them perfect.
Oh, absolutely. And then on top of that, you have the governor who thinks he should be president now, and you have the NJEA president who thinks he should be governor.
Yeah.
Oh, we lost a caller here. We're going to get John Doe right back on, but that's amazing, Mark, so far what we've heard. We'll wrap it up with him. Let me get him back on the line here.
Not surprising at all.
So, but
it's glad it's really great to see that we have concerned parents who are
Absolutely.
researching and doing their due diligence to expose this stuff. And that's why we always invite parents throughout this.
Absolutely.
Whoever's watching, to call into us or email us.
Let's see if we get John. John?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We must have lost you for a second. But listen, we're gonna wrap this up real soon here now. Mark, what else you got?
No, I mean, obviously, as you continue to move forward, we're going to do a follow-up show.
Oh, absolutely.
Because we have some other whistleblowers.
We got questions.
Actually, patriots. I don't even call them whistleblowers.
Yes.
They're patriots. Anything else you'd like to add before you go?
What other information you got that you want the public to really know about?
Just want to thank you guys for giving some exposure to this. It's real hard. We don't have often media available to ask the tough questions. And this is a matter that I think it's a classic case that if there was more data shared and more proactive engagement with the parents, that this could be more reasonably understood. But it's not. And what I'll close with is if you look into some of the work of the initiative that does involve so many other school districts, one word is suspiciously used very, very few times, and that's the word parents.
Oh, absolutely.
So I think we're on what you're getting here is first a shock at this incident, but it's just one of any incidents. But the longer term picture of how parents are engaged is really what has most folks concerned.
John, wouldn't you agree that it's safe to say that there's more collusion going on between the superintendent, the Rutgers, the teachers union, the South African Democrat teachers communist union, and Phil Murphy? I mean, we could call it collusion because that's what it is.
It is.
Right.
And
Uh-huh.
No, I was just going to ask, and I know Mark's going to that, and it's 100% right. And I'll say this: when is the next Board of Ed meeting in your in the district? When's the next meeting, the public meeting?
I believe it's March the 28th.
March the 28th.
There is a growing interest in that because there have been requests for the folks who participated to give a readout of their experiences at the event, which they did commit to do before they traveled.
Yeah, and also let's see everything. Let's see the itinerary.
Absolutely.
If they attended a convention, let's see the itinerary because we already seen the itinerary of the NJE here in New Jersey.
100%.
Had nothing to do with advancing education.
Kudos to you guys. First of all, you guys are patriots. I would fill that Board of Ed meeting in there with every parent you could possibly find. I might actually take a ride down there just to it is absurd. And I'll tell you why. Because if this type of stuff is going to be tolerated, not that you guys are putting up with, obviously there's getting pushback, but if they're trying to now defeat your voice and your pushback, I'm telling you right now, they're picking you for a reason because they think they could bully you guys. They think they could push over on you because of the size of it. And if they infiltrate and are able to do this, it's only a matter of time. It's coming to every school district in this state. It's just that's a fact. Metuchen's shocking. Oh, how shocking Metuchen's on that list.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, it's by design. They are purposely. They're manipulative. They know exactly what they're doing here. What districts to pick.
Of course.
It is amazing. So keep up the fight. If you got anything else to add, let us know. But otherwise, I just want to thank you, John Doe. But really, honestly, we'll absolutely do a follow up.
Yeah, and if you have the copy of that agenda where it's on the agenda to pay the expenditure to go there, please email it to us.
Right.
We'll do.
And by the way, and try to get those emails. Try to find out what the superintendent knew and when they knew it. I'm telling you, try to dig into that. It's unfortunate because there's no investigative journalists anymore in this area. There's none. So the parents are left to do it. So good luck, buddy.
Hey, thanks a lot.
No, thanks for your time, and stay safe.
Stay safe, man. All right. Thank you.
Take care.
And as we hang up with John Doe, and we're gonna wrap it up here now, Mark. But so why don't you just give a whole just quick background of what we just found out, because it is really just amazing. It's amazing what happened over here.
Well, listen, when you put all the evidence together, it clearly shows what Phil Murphy, the teacher, the NJEA, Rutgers, NAEA, all these different entities. Obviously, they're not concerned about educating children. It's all about indoctrination.
They want your kids.
They are going out of the country to try to learn different ways to implement this stuff into the curriculum, to sneak it by parents. Because like our caller said, the parents were not even part of the discussion. It's not on any documents, any concern for parents.
Right.
It's all about their political ideology, Phil Murphy is a scumbag.
Yeah, listen, I'm going to say that. You know what? You say that. I'm telling you, you're right on that one because I'll tell you what.
Evil.
It's an evil heart because I'll tell you what you do. These guys are they think they're so clever because they put it right in the board minutes. First of all, nobody really goes to these board meetings. Number one, they know that. They know nobody's dissecting them usually. But you had a hero. It sounds like there was a hero there that knows was always looking, was on point. They saw it, they circled it, and they had, hey, I got a question. And that's how it starts. So kudos to those.
Yeah, because why aren't you prioritizing catching children up? I mean, listen, this is why we keep saying it. Cameras in the classroom. If they have nothing to hide,
that's it.
Put the cameras in the classroom.
Right.
Listen, and let's just get this straight. I don't want it live streaming while class is going on, but at least a parent can go in, request the audio video from a specific class, date, time. This way they know what's going on.
It's funny you say that because we
don't want no excuses.
We send a little one to the daycare, and the daycare that we send it to, they give you every day. You get photos, a little video of what the child is doing. It's pretty nice.
Listen, Sean Spiller, the NJEA president, does not want anything being
zero. He wants them locked up. He wants those doors locked.
Right, because he's using union dues to advance his evil politics.
It's his personal politics.
Him and Phil Murphy, evil politics.
Right.
Phil Murphy has sold access to his office to the NJEA, Garden State Equality. All these different groups are trying to dictate policy now. But here's the kicker, right? You see all this pornographic material now in these books.
Right.
Well, a child can't go into a newsstand and buy pornographic material, any type of magazine, anything. But all of a sudden now, let's circumvent the law under the guise of the DEI, the CRT, sex curriculum. Well, that's how they're trying to get around the law by adding it to the curriculum. So let's pump pornographic material into children now.
Spiller's a punk. He's a punk.
Sick.
He's a
These
punk.
People,
and I'll tell you, Spiller, I would love to get you on the show and debate with you.
And I'd love for you to come on. That's right. Remind everybody out there.
Get Spiller on here.
The board members are there for the parents and to advocate for the children, not there for the superintendent or the union. And that's what they all seem to be forgetting. And the superintendents especially are forgetting that.
Absolutely pathetic.
You have superintendents who are controlling the narrative at these board meetings.
Absolutely.
And it's not supposed to happen like that.
And what they do is they're schizophrenic because they go at whoever's the board president, you got to stick by him because they don't want to lose their job. And I'm telling you, Spiller, Spiller is a punk. He targets people that he's targeting kids. Kids can't defend themselves. They can't defend themselves, and they know it. You're a punk, and I would love for you to come on here. Think you could be governor? You're a joke. Him and Murphy. I'm tired of the two of them. I really am. And his goofy smile there.
All those parents out there, you got to flood the meetings, and that's why you hear us say it constantly. Make sure you vote. Vote by mail. Vote early. Voting counts. Every election has consequences. You've seen it now. You've seen it now.
Absolutely.
How are all those nasty tweets from Trump? How's that working out for you now?
Exactly.
I mean, for anyone to think Phil Murphy's doing a good job,
who's trying to do the dividing here, though?
Right.
Who's trying to divide?
Right. Exactly.
They're creating a division.
Purposeful. Listen, you listen to some local council meetings. All you hear is about we need more affordable housing. Segregation. So here's what it's all about. It's just about dividing and conquering. And now now they've stooped to new lows. They're targeting your children.
Right. We need politician reform. That's what we need. Politician reform out there. The kook reform.
You got to get out the vote.
Absolutely, guys. So listen, that's it for tonight here at the Freedom to Speak Easy podcast. And clearly, as you can hear from both of us, there is no prohibition on the First Amendment here.
Yeah, just our last call.
Well, last call, Mark.
Listen, I want to do a shout out to those patriots from Montgomery who exposed this. I mean, we're gonna be doing follow-up shows on this because we have some other callers that want to get engaged in this, and
other whistleblowers.
I mean, everybody has different information. All the parents who've been researching this, so a shout out to them. I mean,
they're the ones that they had to do their own research.
But this is what it's all about, though. That's why parents have to attend meetings. So when they see something like this that looks kind of odd, they research it and then they expose it.
And I'll just add one thing. And my last call here is going to be Spiller. Spiller is the mayor of Montclair. He's the mayor of Montclair. All right. The guy wants to be president. I'm sorry, governor of New Jersey. And he all this funding, it's for his personal political ideology and gain here. And you know what? He's using your children as leverage. That's what he's doing. It's a disgrace. And you know what? You don't ever hear from him. He gets away with it all. He's protected by the Union Shield. It's a disgrace. I would love for him to come on.
Well, he claims to be the defender of democracy.
He's a joke. That's what he is. He's a clown.
It's sick.
All right, man.
But
So,
see everybody next show. Thanks.
take care, everybody, and please share this video, share it, and go to our YouTube page, subscribe to it, Freedom to Speak Easy podcast. Till next time, guys, take care.
Have a great one.
1, 2, 3 to the groove, come and dance with me. Swing out, jive in. Come on, honey, show me how you move it. Swing out, jive in. 1, 2, 3 to the groove, come and dance with me. Swing out, jive in. The party don't stop till we drop. Come on now, now.